Let us have a discussion on working principle of synchronous motor. For understanding the principle of synchronous motor, we first look at the basic constructional feature of this type of motor. This motor mainly consists of two major parts. First one is stator. Stator of this motor is made up of number of laminations of cold grain-oriented silicon steel to reduce hysteresis and eddy current loss. The inner periphery of the cylindrical stator is provided with number of slots. A three-phase winding is so similarly distributed among the slots that when a three-phase power is supplied, a rotating magnetic field is produced. This magnetic field rotates at synchronous speed. Second one is rotor. Rotor of synchronous motor consists of an electromagnet. The field of the rotor is excited by supplying DC power to the rotor. Hence, after excitation, the rotor becomes an electromagnet. Poles of this electromagnet are magnetically locked with opposite poles of rotating magnetic field, and hence rotor will rotate at same speed as rotating magnetic field. Now the rotor, which is a magnet, is not rotating. The rotating flux rotates at very high speed. So the poles of the rotor cannot get locked with the stator poles and the motor does not work initially. To start the operation of the synchronous motor, the rotor is first rotated by an external prime mover or a separate motor. The main aim for doing this is to reduce the speed difference between the rotating flux and the rotor poles. When the relative speed between these two almost reaches zero, the poles of the rotor gets attached or locked with the flux. In this way, the rotor starts to rotate at synchronous speed. Another method of starting a synchronous motor is by using damper windings. In this case, at first the DC supply to the rotor is switched off and the motor starts to rotate on the principle of squirrel cage induction motor. When the relative speed between the rotor and the rotating flux decreases, the rotor is energized by DC supply and the rotor gets locked with the flux and starts to rotate at synchronous speed. This is how a synchronous motor works. Thank you.